of all the time machines that have ever been imagined, none is better known than Doc Brown's DeLorean. Initial development of this most unlikely of time travel machines began in the mid-70s. If the initial vision of the DeLorean had survived into production, the car would indeed have served as a glimpse into the future. Conceived during an era of fuel shortages and increasingly intense scrutiny of automotive safety, DeLorean was to debut highly advanced features such as a lightweight plastic chassis and airbags. As with other forward-looking cars of the era, power was to be provided by a Wankel rotary engine mounted midship. Features that seem commonplace today, such as four-wheel independent suspension and four-wheel disc brakes, were also promised. A low overall height and larger rear wheels were specified to aid in handling. No time machine would survive the rigors of time travel without a sufficiently strong structure. From the start, DeLorean was intended to bring cutting-edge structural innovations into production. An innovative new process referred to as elastic reservoir molding consisted of layers of fiber-reinforced materials sandwiched together with resin at high pressure. This process was intended for a majority of DeLorean's structure. But designing a time machine is never easy, and DeLorean's development would be no different. The road to production would be very bumpy, and many of the most innovative features would be lost to time. Indeed, in the end, the question may have been asked, should this time machine have been built at all? DeLorean, of course, was not just a car. John Zachary DeLorean was one of the most passionate car guys ever to serve in the automotive industry. Born January 6, 1925, DeLorean is responsible for some of the greatest hits of the beloved and bygone brand Pontiac. From Firebird to GTO to the Grand Prix, DeLorean transformed the formerly staid brand into something truly special. DeLorean's incredible vision and passion for cars resulted in his rapid ascension to become the youngest division president in General Motors history. This was a long way from his humble origins as the son of a mill worker of Romanian descent. DeLorean would take the bold step of departing a highly successful career with the world's largest automaker to start his own car company in 1973. Despite enormous obstacles and the loss of many of his groundbreaking features, DeLorean would at last see his vision of the future roll off the assembly line in 1981. From the quad rectangular headlamps to the wildly exotic gull-wing doors, this was the car from the future. Regardless of the backstory of DeLorean, both the man and the car, there is no denying the passion that is evident in every stainless steel square inch of this most remarkable of time machines. Quite fittingly, brochure literature proclaimed DeLorean as the car that defies convention and challenges the future. The trademark gull-wing doors actually were somewhat practical, only requiring 14 inches of clearance to open. Rear window louvers were standard. They not only looked cool, but they also aided in reducing drag. Though they probably would not withstand the original target of 10 miles per hour without damage, the well-integrated bumpers were far more stylish than most Federal bumpers of the era. All of these details added up to a car that was like no other. From any angle, DeLorean was a true head-turner. DeLorean's chassis was another departure from the ordinary, featuring a Lotus-inspired double-wide design that offered a reasonable balance of stiffness and weight savings. Interiors featured a full set of gauges and a high level of comfort and convenience features not always found in exotic cars of the era. DeLorean was originally set to hit the road in 1979. Numerous delays and budget concerns would delay introduction until 1981, so by the time DeLorean did arrive, interest was strong. After all, with the looks of a spaceship and the promise of cutting-edge technology of the future, DeLorean surely was destined to take flight. Alas, expectations were brought back down to earth when details of the production powertrain were revealed. Plans for the mythical Wankel rotary engine were long gone. A Ford power plant was briefly considered, but in the end, a Peugeot Renault Volvo power unit was chosen. Developing 130 horsepower and 153 pound-feet of torque, performance was less than impressive, even for the era. All of this meant that economy was reasonable for a sports car, but that mattered little to the prospective buyer. The combination of mediocre performance, spaceship styling, and a $25,000 price tag all added up to a car that appealed to a very limited number of prospects. Though early quality control issues were considerable, the Dunmurry factory located in Northern Ireland did eventually resolve most of the problems that plagued early examples. Unfortunately for DeLorean, word of cars leaving the factory with out-of-adjustment clutch pedals, braking problems, and misaligned wheels gave the brand a poor reputation for quality it would never recover from. All of this means absolutely nothing to the heart. How can you not love this most awesome of 80s automotive royalty? The first installment of Back to the Future would arrive in theaters for 1985, and for many of us children of the 80s, life would never be the same. The concept of going back in time and actually seeing how the parents really lived was awesome enough. But then it arrived, the ultimate time machine. The design was penned by illustrator Andrew Probert and was intended to appear as though constructed of common components. This was a long way from the original concept of using a refrigerator as a time-traveling conveyance. And even by the standards of the day, the first of 3 variations of DeLorean time machine was an energy guzzler, requiring 1.21 gigawatts to successfully achieve time travel. In all, 3 DeLoreans were used for filming, one for stunts, one for special effects, and a third served as the hero car for more detailed close-up shots. It is reported that all 3 were highly unreliable, but they never failed to look cool. Director Robert Zemeckis referred to the time travel effect as time slice. Somehow, the special effects team came up with the look after Zemeckis gave the direction of coming up with something that looks as though a Neanderthal is sitting on the hood and chipping away at the fabric of time. Huge respect for the team of talented artists that managed to produce something so spectacular from such an obscure description. The year may have been 1955, but Biff Tannen's fabulous Ford Super Deluxe convertible coupe was from the year 1946. and Ford produced many other variations of this beautiful car. The post-war demand for cars was great, so Ford invested effort into upgrading pre-war offerings with higher levels of comfort and power. Brochure literature focused heavily on safety to appeal to the many young families in the market for a new car. From standard hydraulic brakes to safety glass, this was the car you wanted your teenage children to take to the Enchantment Under the Sea high school dance. Swift, sturdy, and more fun to drive wasn't just a great description of Biff's mom. It was also the way Ford described its four-door offering. The story of how Biff ended up with such a fabulous Ford may be lost to time, but we can all take solace in the fact that this is one bully who received the most epic of knuckle sandwiches. Knees were free to wave about in the spacious 46 Ford interiors that featured seating that wouldn't seem out of place in a mid-century living room. Luggage capacity was equally generous, with a wide-opening trunk that even featured an automatic courtesy light, true luxury for the time. Glimpses into the future existed in the magical new material that was plastic, which adorned the symmetrical instrument panel. Luxury features in the Super Deluxe interior included assist handles and heavily padded rear armrests, perfect for relaxing during a quiet ride in the country. Rich-looking broadcloth or mohair was available as upholstery options in the deluxe models. Door cards were finished in a brown simulated leather material. Even the basic four-door sedan offering featured a generous amount of chrome and acres of space for growing families on a budget. Ford referred to the two-door sedan as Tudor, as spelled in this brochure, a subtle nod to a fondness of the Ford family for all things British. Advancements such as a waterproof distributor and automatic spark control allowed for the use of standard grades of gasoline with minimal pinging. Valve maintenance was reduced with the introduction of heat-resistant valve seats. The 46 Fords weren't just marketed to families. Several trim lines were squarely aimed to the young and young at heart. Still, regardless of the audience, Ford was quick to illustrate the engineering that went into every car they produced. The basic coupe was intended to serve those selling door-to-door. However, the lack of a rear seat and minimal weight also made it the perfect hot rod. Interestingly, the chassis was similar in shape to the DeLorean, with its X-type frame. GM and Ford both used this cost and weight-saving design for a while, until it was discovered that side impact protection was far less than desired. Biff no doubt was impressed with the brochure's text that asked, "Do you like flashing performance, quick getaways, and high cruising speeds?" All features that would serve someone of such questionable moral value quite well. Impressively, the convertible featured a motorized lift top that required only the push of a button to hydraulically raise and lower. And of course, there was the station wagon, with genuine wood cladding and rear body structure, as well as seating for 8. It was the ultimate 1946 Ford offering. Unlike the competition, Ford offered 2 power plants, an L-head 6 and flathead 8. Though the 8-cylinder was not exactly powerful or fuel efficient, it would serve as the genesis of America's long-lasting love affair of all things 8 cylinders. Many, however, would stick with the proven 6-cylinder, which provided nearly as much power and better economy. Regardless of engine or body style, Ford for 46 was billed as a look into the future. Brown's masterpiece would receive major upgrades for its second appearance. Old beer and banana pills replaced plutonium thanks to the addition of Mr. Fusion. Best of all, roads were no longer necessary. As a child of the 80s, there was only one thing that could top a time-traveling DeLorean, and that was a time-traveling DeLorean that could fly. But of all of the automotive icons to share the screen in this most epic of 80s movie masterpieces, for many of us, there is only one we truly hoped would someday magically replace the parents' dilapidated Chevy Nova. Though Toyota had a presence in the US market for decades, it did take some time for the American car-buying public to warm to the offerings of Japan's automotive giant. Early offerings were light on content and tended to rest quickly, but it wasn't long before the Japanese automaker had established a reputation for simple, economical, and reliable transportation. Toyota's utility pickups and SUVs were particularly appealing to buyers looking for no-nonsense, efficient alternatives to America's full-size offerings.
When I look back.
By the middle of the 1980s, Toyota pickups were everywhere, and they were almost unrecognizable when compared to their humble beginnings. From 7-way adjustable sport driver's seats to 5-speed transmissions, these were the compact pickups you dreamed of taking to the lake with your best friends as Van Halen blared on the AM/FM cassette stereo radio. The list of available Toyota pickup configurations for 85 was truly staggering. As usual, the SR5 package represented the top of the line, while Deluxe offered a more affordable, middle-of-the-range trim level. Engine choices included a 2.4-liter single overhead cam 4, as well as a turbo diesel. Whichever power plant you chose, efficiency was always priority over pure power. This was, after all, a time of continued energy uncertainty. The extra cab may have provided minimal extra interior space, but its longer wheelbase combined with front torsion bars and rear soft-ride suspension did at least offer a slightly more civilized level of comfort. And though the long bed configuration may not have been as cool, it was quite practical, and the bodyside graphics went a long way towards distracting from what would have been a mildly awkward profile view. The 1-ton configuration could handle 2,500 pounds of payload, and was even offered in a chassis cab configuration. The 1-ton package featured heavy-duty front suspension, rear axle, and offered a towing package capable of 5,000 pounds. There was still a limit, however, to just how accommodating the Toyota pickup could be due to Japanese tax laws. The result was a cabin that was narrower than US offerings, and though there was technically accommodation for 3, you had to be very good friends. Regardless of cabin space, the Toyota pickup was a winner, thanks to the vast array of options and configurations on offer. It was never intended to be a time machine, but all those who have traveled the space-time continuum would probably agree. One look at an '85 Toyota pickup instantly takes us back in time. And oh, what a feeling it is to return to the 80s. For its final adventure, the DeLorean time machine would be outfitted with components that would not look out of place in the Hammond church organs my father routinely repaired throughout my childhood. By now, the DeLorean Motor Company was long gone, but DeLorean the car was more celebrated than ever and would go on to become one of the most iconic hero cars of the 80s.
Building of a shrine, only just to burn. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
As is often the case with time machines, there is always the question of, even if we could, do we really want to see our future?
May the wind be at your back, good fortune touch your hand. May the cards lay out straight, all from your command. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
If these incredible journeys have taught us anything, perhaps it's that no matter what life throws our way, the future will turn out just fine, so long as we take care of those we hold dear.
Shine light into darkness. Shine light into darkness.
Thanks to all of my longtime supporters for putting up with the delays and recent lack of content. My day job has been really intense and has impacted my ability to escape into the creative space that allows me to produce content I hope you will enjoy. But rest assured, these car tales will continue. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and consider becoming a member or Patreon supporter. Of course, there are several other cars that make an appearance in this series. Please do leave a comment if you would like a follow-up to this video. Thanks everyone for watching.
At the top, go all electric, watch your models drop. Shift into second, and soon we'll be experience our triviality. Come on, you gotta go in the back of my mom's Pinto. Drive a Jeep, remember the war. Need a couch, what are land yachts for? Faster than a trucker, quick as a nail. Let's all listen to Topher's Car Tales.